So the Seahawks offense is a little bit better maybe than people on the outside expected coming into the season, particularly as a passing offense. Just what have you seen from them, from Geno, and from the offense as a whole so far?
Yeah, Daniel, a very well-coordinated group. Shane Waldron's their offensive coordinator, who I worked with the Rams. He's doing an outstanding job with that team. I think they've got a lot of weapons. I don't think it's a surprise based on who the players they have. Just start with their wide receiver tandem. Metcalf and Lockett are as good of a tandem as you're going to face. I've had to face them, and Tyler's been such an outstanding player for so long, a clutch player, a guy that can move around, make a lot of big plays in a lot of different places, and then Metcalf is one of the premier receivers in the game. Size, speed, rare size, speed, can access the top shelf of the coverage, presents a lot of challenges in isolation, run after catch. If he catches it, he's a tough guy to bring down because he's so big, and then he's got enough gas to take it out the back door and finish it. So, very big time wide receiver tandem. And then I think Eskridge, the guy they drafted a few years ago out of Western Michigan, he's a guy that we did a lot of work on, and he's having an outstanding season. So the receivers are really good. And then I think, with them onboarding Noah in the trade, their tight end group is really, really good. Disley, I played against him a bunch. He's an outstanding wide tight end. Noah can do it all. And then, they play three tight ends. They've got Parkinson, who they play from Stanford, who's a big guy and allows them to do a lot of things. And, it was unfortunate that Penny went down, but, they had, essentially 2 first-round backs with Kenneth Walker, the rookie, who I know that they love and who's having an outstanding season. So, they have a very, very complete skill group. And Geno, the thing about Geno is Geno's played a lot of football now, and he was a former high pick. He's been around the NFL, and he's been in that system now for 2 years, and you can see that he has full command over it. So I don't think it's a surprise that they're scoring the ball because they've got the pieces to score the ball. And I think Geno's doing an outstanding job distributing, taking care of the football, and really leading that group. So very, very tough cover and a very, very, impressive group.
A lot was made about their offensive line for years. This year, it looks like they have a very strong draft with the right and left tackle. Just what have you seen from those two guys, and how have they helped protect and given Geno time and obviously open up for the run game?
Yeah, Fernando, great points. The rookies, we did a lot of work on those guys too, Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, and those guys have done a really nice job. It's not an easy position to transition to, but to get 2 rookies, in the trade that you feel like are quality players, now setting up your future. I thought that was a really good move on their part. And then, Austin Blythe, their center, is a guy that I was with the Rams, who's a real commander, who I think has given that group a lot of leadership, a lot of toughness. And then, Gabe Jackson and Damian Lewis have played a lot of football. So you got a line that has a little bit of everything, and a tight end group that can really affect the run game and the pass game. And so, like I said, very, very good offensive group. It's come together. They've played against some good defenses, and they put up a lot of points, a lot of yards.
Just a few things in the last question, but Geno Smith, I think Josh Allen's the only other quarterback with a higher passer rating this season. And what specifically can you look at that makes him so successful? Yeah,
Bridget, I think he's playing with really good rhythm and timing. You don't see him hanging onto the ball very long in terms of knowing exactly where he wants to go with the football. I think Shane's doing a great job getting that guy in rhythm, allowing him to progress quickly, doing a great job, like Shane always has with the keeper play-pass game, RPOs. And then they've got a lot of playmakers that get open, that create separation. And Geno's just doing a good job of playing in rhythm and timing, and he's been very accurate with the football. But he's one of those, I think really cool NFL stories of a guy that is really taking the road less traveled and is making, the most of his opportunity.
He's had kind of a strange career, kind of disappeared in a number of years as a backup. Is this a resurrection for him, or is it a system thing, or did you always consider him a good starting quarterback?
Yeah, I think Geno, certainly was was going to be a high pick, had an outstanding career at West Virginia, and I think he has all the tools to be a successful quarterback. I think sometimes in today's NFL, people don't want to be patient with young players, and sometimes it takes the right environment, the right group of coaches, the right group of players to bring out the best in a quarterback. And I could cite a bunch of examples an NFL history of an NFL player taking a little bit more time. I think nowadays it does. You don't get that time. And Geno's been fortunate to do a good job of staying in the NFL because he's such a quality player. He took advantage of his time as a backup, and then when you get a chance to go compete for a job, you're ready for it. But the skill set in terms of his ability to throw the football, his size, speed, playmaking ability. I mean, that's what made him a high pick. And now you've got almost 10 years worth of wisdom of the NFL, and now you're seeing a guy that's playing really fast. So, credit to him for hanging tough, and then for now making the most of his opportunity and proving that he's an NFL starter.
Not to get too philosophical here, but it's an interesting point there, just in the society that we live in, of instant gratification and knowing that some players are going to take more time. Like, as a head coach, how do you balance that with young players, knowing that some guys might need 3-4 years, even longer, to get to their potential, despite what the outside noise might be in terms of wanting instant gratification from
Yeah, Daniel, I think it's an excellent point. I think you have to have alignment within your organization. You have to have the calm in your organization, the patience of the process of what you see every day on film and practices, and that's year round. It's not just during the season, it's year round of what's happening. And, you got to have belief in your system of helping a player develop, and those timelines are all different with players. And you want to try to take advantage of every year of that guy's contract and maximize it, so because you just never know when it's going to happen for him. I think we've got several examples on our team like you're seeing, and it's just it's tougher these days, but I think you see that players usually don't disappoint you if you invest in them and stay with it. If they're made up of the right stuff, eventually they're going to be that player they're capable of being.
With the between JC and Michael, do you know, is that like an open position now, like with Lovie and Nas as far as starter, or do you know what direction you're going this week?
Yeah, I mean, JC, like I said, had a tough night the other night, but we're going to make sure that we stay patient with him, okay, because he's got all the tools that we're looking for. I got to do a better job coaching him, getting him in a comfort zone, but we expect him to be out there this week and playing his brand of ball, and I think, he's going to learn a lot from what happened the other night. Hey, what he needs to do with his game, what we need to do as coaches, and like I said, that's as much on me as anybody.
Say you want to do a better job of coaching. Can you talk to specifics? Will you do something different this week in preparation?
No, I don't think anything different schematically, certainly, because like I told you guys, I mean, he came here to do the job that he's doing. But I think it's just us getting him in as good of a rhythm as possible. And Bridget, I think it's, the practice time, the meeting time, the consistency of that. As you guys know, it was disrupted at the beginning of the season. And that, I think, has caused, a setback in terms of his development within our team and getting him playing his game within our team. And I think that there's just a lot of little things that go into that. But, we're going to make sure that we have a great week of practice starting today and get him to the game feeling his best.
He's still a starter? He's still starting on Sunday?
Yeah, Fernando, for sure.
Have you had a conversation with him, whether it was at halftime or after the game or yesterday, and what has kind of been his feelings on this situation?
Yeah, Bridget, for sure. This morning, we had the off day yesterday, but this morning, and the conversations are the ones that we have all the time. I think when you develop good relationships with people, it's not like some big powwow. It's just, hey, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to go, and really define that plan of what we expect from you, and I think that we're gonna get a chance to go do it today and maximize today, because there's a reason why we went and got this guy. And because we believe in him. And just because it hasn't started, in a Hollywood fashion doesn't mean it's not going to end that way. And what we got to do is we got to stay with him because he has what it takes. And it's our job to get him there.
Just with Mike, how do you approach that with him then? Because he comes in the second half, plays well. We all saw what the defense did, playing assignment sound. Like, how do you explain that to him? Obviously, you pay JC a lot of money and you want him, and you know what type of player he can be, but how do you explain that to Mike? The fact that he went in there, played well, and you might feel like,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's similar to, what we do with the other positions on our team is that, same thing with Nas and Lowe. Last week, that's a good example, is that, I think, JC, got taken out of that game, and that was a big deal. And we put Mike in and he played well. But, this week's a new week, and we're going to have to go out there on the practice field, and we're going to have to earn it, and that's going to be the message, just like it was last week with Nas and Lowe's. You're going to have to earn it. And I think that's where it starts today. And I think, what you try to do with both guys is just to define exactly how it's going to happen. You're not leaving it up to chance. You're saying, hey, guys, this is how the week's going to go. And I think everybody can operate a lot better that way.
When kickers get injured, it doesn't grab the headlines of, quarterbacks, et cetera, but we know how important they are. We saw it Monday. So when you lose your kicker, how big of a blow really is that?
Well, they grab headlines when it doesn't go well. It didn't grab a headline because it went well for us. So, it's just like all the positions where your job is very impactful. I mean, scoring the ball, your job is very impactful in terms of winning and losing. So I think we've seen around the league this year, there's been a ton of kicking situations that have been in flux. I think you guys have seen that, and you've seen it impact games. And so, fortunately, we've been through it one time with Taylor. And I think that's, hopefully going to be an edge for us. At least Taylor has, time on task with our operation, wearing our colors and being out there. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and get him onboarded this week and in full swing. But, you can't say enough about Dustin and what he did the other night. You guys see it. I think when you go back and watch the game copy, you have even more appreciation of kind of the pain that he was in. But again, Taylor was able to, answer the call on the road against Cleveland, and we're going to expect him to do the same thing against Seattle.
With Nas and Lowe, is that still a week-to-week thing, or did Nas do enough in practice and then the way he performed Sunday to sort of reclaim that starting job?
Yeah, Dan, I thought Nas played really well the other night, and I thought he was a real bright spot for our defense. I thought he had full command. Him and Derwin back there, I thought that was one of their best games, maybe not their top game from a communication standpoint. I thought he was very active around the football, had a couple awesome overlaps where if the ball was thrown a little better, he probably would have intercepted it, and he was around the football tackling. And again, he had great focus last week. Lowe came in and did his job at a high level last week. And like I said, competition is going to bring out the best in people. And I know the storylines of, and I understand them, well, when you make decisions like that change, but it's just about competition. And then, those guys performing to their ability. When Nas performs to his ability, he's, our starting safety, and, it would be the same thing with JC, but they have to perform.
Sorry. How comfortable are you guys with the opposite, or the edge rusher opposite Khalil, with either Chris or Kyle or Trent or whoever's on the opposite side?
Yeah, Fernando, those three guys are doing really well for us. I think Kyle leading the way with that group, bringing Chris along. I thought, you guys have, heard me talk about Chris. He continues to improve. And then Derek has come in and done a nice job for us, spelling those guys. And Derek, had a big tackle the other night on the zone read on Russell. And that was an outstanding clutch play in crunch time. That was, a big play, one of those plays that you look back and say, man, that was a big time play. But, like I said, it's going to be a committee approach. I think all those guys are doing a good job. And then I thought Khalil, has been playing, Khalil, the last game, I thought he was outstanding, and the game really affected the game.
When you look at all the injuries and adversity you guys have gone through, and now you're 4-2, same record as the Chiefs, what do you make of that and this team moving forward?
Bridget, it's just part of the NFL. I think we don't make too much of it because that's just the way the NFL is, and that's what I tell the guys, and that's what the guys know is, that's part of the NFL. And there's a lot that happens, and you got to be ready for it. And it's just part of the job description. And I think our guys have done a really nice job of playing together in all three phases and figuring it out. And I think you've heard me say that, but week to week in this league, that's what's got to happen. You treat each week like it has a life of its own. Each week, the injury report changes. You subtract some guys, you add some guys. And then whatever that group is, you take it to the game and do the best you can. But I think that this locker room believes in one another, and I think that it's been on display through 6 games so far.
What do you make of Seattle's defense? Obviously, Uchenna, you know, face, and then Trevel has the 4 picks in 4 games now, too.
Yeah. I think those first 2 guys you mentioned made a lot of plays. I think, Chenna's having an outstanding season, playing exactly the way that you guys have seen him play. A guy that I have the utmost respect for. did such an amazing job for us last year, and he's just a complete player, and he's a playmaker, and he's doing the same things for them and playing with even more confidence because he's earned it. You know, last year I think his first year starting full time, you can see that he's playing with that type of confidence. And you know, Shelby Harris is a guy I was with in Denver who I think is an outstanding player, and I think that group's just really coming together. You know, Al Woods has played a lot of ball. Puna Ford, I know when I was with the Rams, I mean, that guy's a really hard guy to block. Darrell Taylor on the edge was a guy that was highly regarded that I think is really coming on. And then their linebacking group, I mean, Jordan Brooks is one of the top young linebackers in the game. Cody Barton from Utah, that's a really nice tandem of guys. And I think what Pete's done a good job of in the secondary is really try and, you know, create that secondary group and, you know, the image that, you know, they believe in. I think Tariq Woolen probably represents that more than anything. You know, when you think of a Seattle corner, you think of him, you know, and I think that you're seeing that. And I think what, you know, Pete's done a good job of is, you know, getting a team out there that, you know, he knows can win. And you've seen it in the way he's drafted. You know, Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati. You know, they re-signed Quandre Diggs, who's one of the top, you know, deep safeties in the game, quarterback in that group. And, you know, they're playing really well, and they're doing the things that Seattle has always done to make them formidable, which is, you know, attack the football, take it away, take care of it, and play as a team.
New with Keenan or any of the other injuries, and is Corey back in here again today?
Yeah, it's just like I told you, Bridget, Keenan and Corey will be back in practice this week, full-time. When I say full-time, in practice, you will see them out there in individual. And then just the three from the game is Donald, Josh, and Dustin.
There's a lot of young coaches in the league, but a lot of veterans that you see, like Andy Reid and Pete. So when you go against a guy who's been in the league as long as Pete has, is it any different, or you've watched him, you know him pretty well just from watching him all these years from afar?
Yeah, a lot of respect from afar. He stood the test of time in this league, and you know, since he's become the head coach there, you know, his results speak for themselves. Multiple Super Bowls, you know, countless division titles, and you know what he did at SC, and you know what he did before he got to SC as a pro coach. So one of the top coaches in the game, and we have a lot of respect for him.
Would you put Dustin on IR, or you have two call-ups, elevations for Taylor? Would you just sort of use those two and sort of see where Dustin's at?
Yeah, just because we have the bye week, it won't be an IR situation for right now.